Hello, good morning, and annyeonghaseyo. Welcome to the Uncle Show. And yeah, if you can't tell by that butchering of language, today we're looking at something Korean that I picked up in China, weirdly enough. Today, we are looking at Metal Cardbots, which I picked up at Toys R Us while I was in Shenyang. And yeah, they're not gone, at least outside the US. But moving on from that, what the heck are these things? They're kind of like if you took Pixar's Cars and made them anime, which kind of has happened in the movies, but not quite like this. Well, believe it or not, these are, in a way, Transformers. Now, as you know, I've covered a lot of Transformers on here, but they aren't the only transforming robot toys out there. And I don't mean like knockoffs or bootlegs, which I've also looked at. There have been quite a few transforming robot toy lines that stood more so on their own, like in the 80s, there was GoBots, Zybot. Then during Beast Wars, there was Dinosaurs. And even during the 2000s, there were toy lines like Playmates Revs. None of these really managed to make a dent in Transformers' popularity and have since kind of disappeared in some way or another, though GoBots has resurfaced a few times because they were bought out by Hasbro and brought into the Transformers world. And I guess if you really want to stretch it, there are Super Wings, which you really shouldn't. But then later on in the early 2010s, there were some competitors to Transformers coming out of South Korea, starting with Tobots in 2010. Which were these big chunky toys that actually did incredibly well. In fact, their show has stayed on the air in some form or another since 2010. And then a few years later, there was another Korean transforming robot toy line with Metal Cardbot, which has also done really well and again still airs to this day, though that one emphasizes more so multiple cars that form one robot. So obviously big franchises in Korea, and they have been sold in other territories, but they haven't made as much of a splash outside of Korea. Well, from what I can tell, the toys are well built. I think Transformers is just already such a dominant brand, and a lot of these just felt like less refined Transformers. In fact, sometimes it's to the point of controversy, as was the case of Tobot Steel, which was accused of being a straight up copy of Optimus Prime, and just have a look, it's pretty one-to-one. But Metal Cardbot, however, has been the first one that actually got a bit of hype outside of even Korea. The show and Toyland have already done massively well in Korea. It already has a spin-off in China with a weird half-live action show, and they're actually making their way to America now. But more on that later. And in comparison to Tobots or Hello Carbot, which were brought up on occasion but mostly ignored by Transformers fans, these have been making the rounds, especially after the reveal of their first female Cardbot with Taki and her pleasing design. It got a lot of renewed attention, and I managed to pick some up in China for their proper retail price, which is great because sometimes the eBay prices for these guys can be double or even more than what they're supposed to cost, to the point where it becomes not really worth it. But tell you what is worth it. If you get subscribed and get notified, you'll not only see new reviews, but you can also tune into live streams where I film footage for future videos. Any super chats will also be featured in the video as well. Also, if you like the video, please give a like and comment. Your engagement helps support this channel. Now, back to the video. This guy here is Blue Cop. He's kind of the main character. Oh, specifically, this is Blue Cop S. There's so far 3 seasons of Metal Cardbot. There's Metal Cardbot, Metal Cardbot S, and Metal Cardbot W, I think? And this is the 2nd season. You know, as far as the design goes, there's an immediate difference between this and your average Transformer, or at least an average modern Transformer. Let me get one off the shelf. So yeah, compared to your average Transformer, there's a hell of a difference. These are kind of both the, I guess the word is deluxe, like the very kind of not quite super basic, although mind you, Transformers doesn't really do basic anymore. There's immediately a big difference. Obviously, there's no getting around it. These are huge. We'll dive more into the price later, but these guys are huge, and these are very much big, chunky, and have a lot more paint on it, whereas Transformers famously doesn't utilize a lot of paint. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, you know, it encourages a lot more play value, you know, you don't have to worry about getting paint chipped off. But at the same time, if I had to compare these to any Transformers toy line, really, I'd have to compare it to Cybertron era in more ways than one. You got like big chunky plastic, you got more usage of paint, and the other thing is a lot of ratchet joints. You know, Cybertron had very clicky clacky ratchet joints, felt really nice.
And these use even more ratchet joints, quite frankly. They're strong. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but like the figure, it kind of looks like the figure is vibrating a little as you do it. Just, ooh, I'm gonna stop that. That's getting dirty. And also, it also has the Cybertron-esque kind of kibble management, which is a lot of stuff hanging off the back. It's fine. You do get some weapon storage, and it's very subtle. I don't know if any of you guys spotted it, but he's got two little guns that store in the side of his legs, which is pretty rad. So let's do this. Let's do some articulation. You got a really nice ball jointed head, actually. I think it's on a dumbbell joint. So you get the full 360. He can look down pretty dang far, look up pretty far, and a little bit of side to side, which just adds a little bit. Just that can add a lot of personality to a figure. That's really nice. There's articulation at the shoulders. That's more for the transformation, but if you wanted, you could give him the hot rod thing. There. As far as the shoulders, they can go up like that, but you got to be careful. There's sometimes a little bit of clashing, so just be wary of that. Unfortunately, there's no kind of rotating joint here, which I think is a little bit of a lost opportunity, because it means that if you want to turn the arm around, kind of can't. And unfortunately, oh, and there that goes. As far as arms go, the range of movement is not ideal. That's only like 1, 2, 3 positions. So a little bit of a shame. It's kind of weird that it's ratcheted though. Yeah. But you do get a waist swivel, which is really nice. So I guess that does help a little bit. You get some skirt flaps, which are really nice. So the legs have a lot more articulation. They can go up, go down. Oh, the kibble is articulated too. In fact, move it back a little bit more or mess with the legs a little bit. You can get a lot more movement in. So, some position. As we demonstrated before, really good spread. There's swivel at the upper thigh. Let's do a dab test. Let's do the dab. It looks heroic. You can pull it off. Honestly, it is slightly better articulated than some Cybertron toys. I just wish, it had some certain little things that go a long way. Iron Man landing pose. Ooh, superhero landing. Good idea. Let's see. Let's see if I can get that in. Oh, actually, wait. Actually, that actually kind of works. Hey, that actually looks kind of good. So, the reason it's called Metal Cardbot, by the way, is because you get these little plastic cards, not made out of metal, and their weapons attach. I have no idea how it works in the show, but yeah, all their weapons and gear kind of attach to this, including the chest piece. So technically it's parts forming. I don't care, it's fine, although a little annoying. And then for the way the accessory attaches, it just plug it in like that. Nice and simple. Like that, I said. And there you go. Oh yeah, actually that works way, way better. Yeah, no, that actually works. That actually works for a little bit of superhero pose. That actually looks really cool. You can get a little bit of the old pimp slap action, That didn't go as far as I wanted. Let me try that again. And that fell off. And I actually got into a better position. So what I like to do first, I like to pull this down and rotate these bits up. And I like that the weapon storage, you can just kind of store them away. In fact, it becomes car exhaust later. I think that's very clever. Rotate in the feet. straighten out the arms and the shoulder pads. And pull this bit up. And then you just kind of, it's a bit of a pain, but it doesn't want to line up the best. You push in the shoulders and kind of click them in like that. And then you just rotate these around and line them up. And yeah, unfortunately, this has nowhere to go. Parts forming, not a fan. And then you just compress and bring it forward. Or make sure everything's lined up. And there you go, a beautiful kind of sports car.
The transformation was pretty simple, reminded me very much of Armada. In fact, it really reminded me of Armada Red Alert, just the way everything compresses in a lot of the shell bits. But the car mode is still a delight. It's a very simple Lamborghini-esque sports police car because I guess the show takes place in Abu Dhabi.
Really nice car. You know, obviously the underside is just a sarcophagus, essentially, which is really funny.
Also, you may notice the giant eyes on the car. That's one of the distinguishing characteristics about Metal Cardbots. The vehicles all have eyes on them. Some people are a bit put off by them. It is a bit corny, but I was born on the cob, boy. I think they're just the right design to be distinct, but not overly kiddie. Trust me, I've seen weirder. And given the cat-like nature of the Cardbot faces, I think it still works overall. Blue Cop is very much a get-the-job-done kind of toy, but still does his job mostly well. I do kind of appreciate they made the lead character easy to obtain, and this isn't the worst figure of this guy. The original figure was a lot chunkier and harder to pose, it seems, but also had a bicep swivel. Why'd you remove that? But it's also not the best figure of Blue Cop, as there is Blue Cop W, which, while it does give up the waist swivel, it looks better, has an ab crunch and arcing back, forearm swivel, and is a combiner. Blue Cop W is still overall a good time, but it wouldn't turn me over to the dark side from Transformers. Blast Train, on the other hand, oh, what if Chuggington got obaried?
Looking at the cab, it's both really awesome, but also very clearly a lot more. And you can kind of see chest, you got his feet, very, very obviously trained, but it's still, I think it still works nice. I like the kind of, I think the face works a little better. I think it's because the color scheme is gorgeous. Black, gold, red. It's a really, really nice, solidly contrasting thing. And a lot of chromage in Trusting Just More Life. And of course, you know, what's a train without cars? It's got big old train cars. And yes, you can attach them. Feels solid too. Like this is Cybertron on a plastic quality, which is really impressive. Right, for this guy, first of all, we unload these and kind of fold them in. Nice and easy. And then you pull this up and you readjust your camera so that you can see everything a little bit better. Guard walk mode, I guess. Okay, and then you fold this flap down. Those are the feet. And then you rotate the feet out a little bit. There you go. These are already pulled out all the way. Good. And then this last step is nice and easy. Oh, actually, I think, did I do this wrong? Yeah, I think I did. I actually have to, I think what I do is, yeah, I have to rotate it there. Okay. Whew. Pull up the shoulders, and then you pull back these, a little stiff, and then you push this down, pull up the head, which is easier said than done sometimes, and there we go. Nice little head. Big ass figure. And he's got the entire truck face on his back. But you know what? It's not the worst. And you know, when you kind of see what we're doing later, it's actually still kind of impressive. And now the colors are a lot more spread out. Oh, it looks awesome. Really nice face sculpt. Not quite as nice as Blue Cop, I think, but again, just like this looks remarkably high end. And we haven't even gotten to the best part yet. So, design-wise, this guy looks great. Everything's spread out. He really fits the train conductor. But, oh my god, you gotta see the articulation for this one. Unfortunately, not on a dumbbell joint, so only like 360 degrees and looking up and down. Still fine, but I like that dumbbell. Shoulders are adjustable. Hey. And again, ratchets. We got a little bit of T-posing action. And of course, you know, they rotate all the way, and again, on ratchets. Elbows are not on ratchets, but they're perfect elbows, which is really friggin' nuts. It's for the transformation, but still. You got something that could technically be a butterfly joint, actually. Need to put this part up, but you do have a ratcheted waist swivel, and we'll dive into why that's there later. And an ab crunch. A beautiful ratcheted ab crunch. Holy crap. You got a little bit of this. No comment. And also there is waist swivel, but it's a bit of a pain to use. So there's that. And then you got, oh, this skirt is ratcheted too. And then there's this little part here you want to flip up to sometimes. And with this, you get really good ratchet spread. Oh my god, that looks just so wrong. Oh, that feels so good. Upper thigh swivel. Oh, really nice. Again, ratcheted knees. Foot, you kind of got a little bit of maneuverability there, but not a lot. Not the most useful little bend, but I think the feet are big enough that you can still get some good poses in. But yeah, that... Oh, careful there, camera. Ratcheted. I don't like overly ratcheted figures either. Sometimes it can limit articulation. But for these guys, considering how big they are and how like they're meant for younger kids, I can see why they went with the ratchets. Size comparison time. Let's get some guys out. First, we got Crumple Zone, just to give again that Cybertron vibes. Boy, these guys don't look far off, do they? Here's Studio Series Deluxe Jazz that I already kind of brought in before. Here's Power of the Prime's Leader Class Evolution Optimus Prime. So just about very similar heights, actually. Very similar. Me. So yeah, big chunky figure. And if that was it, that'd be one thing. But no. No.
So the core figure is already great fun, very poseable and charming. If it was a standalone, it would already be worth it. But he's not. It's a bit like Power Master Prime, where the additional cars form a power-up for him. And I'm a sucker for that gimmick, so let's do it!
So, for the feet, rotate, you just kind of rotate them in like this. And then, I think you kind of have to push them in slightly. Actually, wait, I think there's a button. Yeah, there's a button on the side that lets you do it, which is very helpful. And then you rotate this part, rotate his head, and pull down the skirt. I think you pull up the shoulder bits again. Then, yeah, so then... Yeah, I think yeah, that's how we do it. You pull down that, and press in the arms. If they'll want to. There we go. So, I've actually been doing this without the instructions, which is honestly a good sign for me. Sometimes even like sort of regular Transformers, I need the instructions. So the fact that these I can just kind of whip out is really nice. In first car, we got a little hat. Let's attach that on last. I think. Nice. Pull this out. Pull this bit back. And pull this down. And then you go open this up. And you get an arm. And you get the first arm. And then I think, if I'm right, you rotate this. And rotate that down. That's arm the first. And for this is going to become the feet. So you just... Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Pull up the toes. Pull this back. And then, as a better toy reviewer would put it, second verse, same as the first. And we got a gun here. I could have sworn there's a way to push this out more, but I don't think there is. Oh, yes, there is, actually. You just got to pull it out. You just got to pull it out a little bit more. My bad. All right, let's attach the legs first. Yeah, no, I love sort of any train combining robot. Okay, do be warned, if when you get to this step, do make sure like everything's very, very properly aligned. I accidentally got it stuck recently. Like I demonstrated before, you gotta make sure that the rails are really on there tight. Otherwise, you're gonna have some problems. And then it's attaching is very simple. You just click it in at the side for the arms, and then for the hat, you can take this out, click it in, but not too much in. Otherwise, the head will sink in. Click in. There we go. And there we go.
This is one of the most gorgeous transforming robot toys I've ever come across. Everything works, from the size, the coloring, the detail. It's just, This is also one of the cleanest looking robots out there with very minimal kibble. Almost everything is done for the benefit of the robot, especially compared to some of the early big figures for this line like Heavy Iron. And even crazier, he has pretty good articulation.
So, we got, first of all, we got articulation there, which is really nice. You know, a little bit of a shrug action. I think, yeah, you could also kind of cheat a butterfly, which I don't recommend, but it's there. Full, and then you got, he's got the Bruticus thing where his shoulder likes to detach. Full rotation here. There, 90-degree elbows. Swivel at the upper shoulder or upper bicep, upper arm. You could kind of flick the wrist a little bit, but I don't think you can rotate it. Skirt flap still there. Should note, there's a little thing here to kind of solidify the connection and kind of make it everything stiff. But when you remove that and also rotate this up, you get a full ratcheted waist swivel and an arching back. Oh my God. So legs, beautiful ratcheted rotation at the leg. You got a pretty good ratchet at the leg. Let me show that again. There you go. And rotation at the knee, which is great. And look, even a ratcheted ankle pivot. A ratcheted ankle pivot. The toes are ratcheted. The toes are ratcheted. Holy crap. This is just, oh my God. You can still get good dabs in. Dabs in, it's so cool.
Due to the immense size and weight, it can be a bit tricky to get him in just the right pose, but he's still very capable. I do wish the feet were a bit better just so I could get more stable posing, but you still get a lot.
I almost forgot. So we got the weapon, which is this kind of crappy little gun. I don't care for it. What I do have instead are his little weapon. So you take off the card, and these things are so cool. These little bear claw things are so cool. They're basically articulated first of all, and they just kind of clip on like that, and that just looks, that takes an already good figure and makes it even better. And And, you know, of course, you know, because the fingers are articulated. So, real quick, Blue Cop, Studio Series Deluxe Jazz, just because I have them on hand. Here he is next to Crumple Zone, which again gives an idea. And then, so this is the equivalent of leader class. Let's get a Transformers leader class figure in. Here he is next to
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. So the other reason that these have a lot more momentum than other Transformers competitors, other than the nice designs, the prices. In their home country of Korea and China, where I picked these up, the prices of these guys are roughly this: $20 to $30 for deluxe figures, $35 to $45 for Voyagers, $50 to $70 for the equivalent of leaders, with some bigger ones going more than that. That's already eyebrow raising enough, but remember, we had some lovely little price increases lately, so in fact, Blue Cop S is a little bit cheaper than Deluxe Wind Charger. Actually pissed off. And don't get me wrong, Transformers still makes good figures, but when you see what we could get for the same or even lower price, it does make you wince a little bit. Hell, Blast Train is in the $70 mark in China, and compared to some Commander class figures, which are 90, actually not even 90, some of them are 100 now, what the actual hell?
the only other Transformer I can think of that has the size while also not costing an arm and a leg, really, sadly, Cyberworld Scorponok here, which, you know, roughly the same size. But here's the thing, of course, this is just leagues above in terms of quality. Like, there's no articulation from this point, there's no articulation down here in these legs. It's all fake. The transformation is baby basic. And I know this thing is more so like kind of like a big play set for the little small Cyberworld figures, which are charming enough on their own. I actually like the little Cyberworld figures. But this guy, you know, is, you know, just comparing them, it's...
Now I just know some of you are already typing in the comments about tariffs and taxes and all that jazz. But, Agabus, who also sell Blokies in America, will be selling Metal Cardbots in the US and release the prices. And well now, would you just look at that? It's almost like claiming tariffs are often just a cover-up for price gouging or something. Now, I will say at the moment, the only Carbot figures that are coming out in the US are the Season 1 wave, which is a bit of a bummer. I think Season 2 is when the toys, and the show, according to my chat, seem to have found their stride. I still want Black Hook though. You can also get them from the Big Bad Toy Store, but you really shouldn't. What the actual hell? Now then, does this make me want to quit Transformers? Is this the Transformers killer that's finally going to defeat Hasbro? No. Transformers has a firm place in popular culture I don't think it'll ever lose. And these are just going to be a nice competitor. It's like how Saints Row didn't kill GTA, it just became a solid competitor. Instead, Saints Row killed itself.
Brunch is a time for friends and mimosas, not debates on morality.
And I do think there are some notes that maybe Hasbro should pick up on these guys. But I will say, for me, with Transformers, while there are still plenty of figures I'm still excited for, I think I'm gonna be a bit more selective with my money. Ah well, could be worse. Could be SH Figuarts versus Hiya Toys. What about you? What do you think about Metal Cardbots? And if you're a fan, any figures you can recommend me? Let me know in the comments, and please subscribe. Also, tell me where you can get them for a halfway decent price, please.